The samurai woke before dawn, not because he was motivated, not because he wanted to. He woke because that was the time he had chosen to wake. His name was Takeda. He served a minor lord in a province most would never hear of. He wasn't famous. He wasn't legendary. He was 31 years old, and he had been a samurai for 14 years. On this particular morning, he would die. He didn't know this yet, but the way he moved through the morning would reveal something that most men spend their entire lives not understanding. He lit a single candle. The room was cold. His breath made small clouds in the air. He dressed slowly, each layer of clothing placed with the same attention he gave to everything else. There was no music in his head. No conversation with himself about whether he felt ready for the day. He simply moved from one action to the next. When he finished dressing, he knelt in front of a small altar. He didn't pray for strength or courage. He didn't ask for protection. He sat in silence for 11 minutes. Then he stood, picked up his sword, and left.
Chapter 2. The Architecture of a Quiet Mind. Most people believe that mental strength is about enduring hardship, that it's about pushing through pain, about refusing to quit when things get difficult. And while endurance matters, it isn't the foundation. The samurai understood something more fundamental. They understood that a mind becomes unbreakable, not by resisting difficulty, but by eliminating a specific kind of internal friction. That friction is the gap between decision and action. In feudal Japan, a samurai's life was organized around a principle that had no formal name, but was understood by everyone who lived it. The principle was this: decide once, early, and completely. Not decide and then reconsider. Not decide and then negotiate with yourself about whether the decision still makes sense. Decide, and then let the decision carry you forward without further thought. This wasn't a motivational technique. It wasn't about willpower or confidence. It was architectural. They built their lives so that the mind didn't have to work during moments of pressure. There's a particular kind of tiredness that defines modern life. It isn't physical. You can feel it after a day of sitting, after a day of doing nothing that should, by any reasonable measure, exhaust you. You wake up tired. You go to bed tired. And the strange thing is, you can't point to what used it up. A man in the 16th century would work in a field for 12 hours, eat a simple meal, and sleep deeply. A man today will sit in meetings, scroll his phone, answer emails, and feel like he's been running uphill all day. The difference isn't the amount of work, it's the amount of deciding. Every day, the modern mind is asked to make thousands of small decisions: what to eat, what to wear, what to click, what to buy, whether to go to the gym, whether to check the message, whether to stay in the conversation or leave, whether to say yes or no or maybe. Each decision costs something, and most of them are never fully made. They hover, they reopen, they loop back around. You decide to wake up early, and then you renegotiate it at 5 a.m. You decide to stop eating sugar, and then you reconsider it in front of the fridge. You decide to have a hard conversation, and then you talk yourself out of it 3 times before lunch. The samurai didn't live this way, not because they were stronger, because they structured their lives so the decision was made once, and the mind never touched it again. Takeda arrived at the meeting point just after sunrise. 6 other samurai were already there. They served the same lord. They knew what was coming. A rival clan had been encroaching on their lord's land for months. Diplomatic efforts had failed. Blood was now the only language that would be understood. They would ambush a group of the rival clan's men on a narrow forest road. It was a small engagement, 15 men, maybe 20. But small engagements kill you just as dead as large ones. Takeda checked his sword once, then he stopped checking it. One of the younger samurai, a man named Jiro, kept adjusting his armor. He retied the cords on his shoulder guard 3 times. He was nervous, not because he was a coward. He would fight well when the time came. But he was still deciding whether he was ready, deciding whether he should have stayed home, deciding whether his sword was sharp enough, whether his stance was correct, whether he had made peace with his family the night before. Takeda noticed this, but said nothing. Jiro would either survive or he wouldn't, but his exhaustion had already begun. Takeda, by contrast, had decided 3 days earlier. He had decided that if the order came, he would go. He decided how he would fight. He decided what he would do if he was injured. And once those decisions were made, he stopped making them. When the order came this morning, his mind didn't reopen the question. It simply executed. Chapter 5. The Invisible Weight. The ambush succeeded. The rival clan's men were caught off guard on the forest road. The fight lasted less than 4 minutes. Takeda killed 2 men. He was struck once across the ribs with a staff, but it didn't break anything. When it was over, the samurai regrouped. 3 of them were wounded. None were dead. Jiro had fought well. He had killed 1 man and held his position. But when they returned to camp, Jiro looked more tired than Takeda. He sat by the fire and stared at his hands. Takeda cleaned his sword, ate a small meal, and slept. The difference wasn't courage. Both men had been courageous. The difference was that Jiro had fought 2 battles that day, one against the enemy and one against himself. Chapter 6. The Modern Unraveling. You can see this same exhaustion everywhere now. Not in battle, but in daily life. A man decides to start a business, but every morning he renegotiates whether today is the day he'll take the first step. A woman decides to leave a relationship that's been over for months, but every evening she reopens the question. She lists the reasons to stay. She imagines the version where it gets better. The decision never settles, it just rotates. And every rotation costs energy. This is why so many people feel exhausted without understanding why. It's not the difficulty of the task, it's the refusal to let the decision be final. The samurai didn't avoid difficulty. They walked toward it, but they walked toward it with a quiet mind because the decision had already been made. The modern mind, by contrast, is constantly at war with itself. Chapter 7. The Structure of Finality. The samurai didn't rely on willpower. They structured their lives to eliminate the need for it. When a samurai entered training, he didn't wake up every morning and decide whether to train. The decision had been made when he took the oath. When a samurai was given an order, he didn't deliberate about whether to obey. The decision had been made when he swore loyalty. When a samurai entered a fight, he didn't evaluate his fear in real time. The decision to fight had been made long before the fear arrived. This is what made them unbreakable. Not the absence of fear, not the absence of doubt, the absence of decision-making during the moment of pressure. Finality creates calm. When a decision is truly final, the mind stops working on it. It stops generating alternatives. It stops running simulations. It stops asking questions. It simply moves. Chapter 8. What the mind does when it's free. 3 months after the ambush, Takeda was assigned to guard duty. It was a quiet post. Nothing happened for weeks. He stood at the gate each day from dawn until midday. Then he was relieved. One morning, a merchant passed through the gate and tried to make conversation. "Doesn't it get boring?" the merchant asked. "Standing here every day, doing nothing?" Takeda didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "I'm not doing nothing. I'm standing here." The merchant laughed, thinking it was a joke.
But it wasn't. Takeda's mind wasn't bored because it wasn't arguing with the task. He wasn't standing there wishing he were somewhere else. He wasn't wondering if this was a waste of time. He wasn't fantasizing about a different life. He was simply standing. And because he wasn't at war with the moment didn't exhaust him.
Chapter 9. The weight of maybe. The opposite of finality is maybe. Maybe I'll start tomorrow. Maybe this is the right relationship. Maybe I should quit. Maybe I should stay. Maybe is the heaviest word in the language. It keeps every possibility alive, which sounds like freedom, but functions like paralysis. The mind can't rest when maybe is present. It has to keep running scenarios. It has to keep evaluating. It has to keep the door open. And every moment the door stays open, energy pours out. The samurai didn't live in maybe. They lived in yes or no. And once the answer was no, they didn't keep checking to see if it had changed. Once the answer was yes, they didn't keep asking if it was the right yes. They moved forward, and the mind went quiet. Chapter 10. The moment before the draw. 2 years after the ambush, Takeda was walking through a village market when he saw a man staring at him. The man's hand was near his sword. Takeda recognized him. He was from the rival clan, probably a relative of one of the men Takeda had killed. The market went quiet. Takeda didn't run. He didn't reach for his sword. He simply stood still and waited. The man's hand hovered near the hilt. And then, after a long moment, he turned and walked away. Later, someone asked Takeda if he had been afraid. He said, "I decided I would draw if he drew, so there was nothing to think about." This is the essence of it. The decision had already been made, so when the moment arrived, his mind had nothing to do. It was free. Chapter 11. The collapse of indecision. Jiro, the young samurai from the ambush, left the service 2 years later. He didn't leave because he was a coward. He left because he was tired. Every assignment he would spend the night before wondering if he should go. Every fight he would spend the morning negotiating with his fear. He fought well when the moment came, but the moment cost him more than it should have. And after years of that cost, he had nothing left. He returned to his family's farm. He lived quietly. He died at 53, having spent most of his life wondering what he should have done differently. Takeda, by contrast, stayed. He fought in 11 more engagements. He was wounded 4 times. He never rose to a position of prominence. He died at 47 in a minor skirmish that no one remembers, but the accounts say that he was calm until the end. Chapter 12. The illusion of open doors. Modern culture worships the open door. Keep your options open. Don't commit too soon. Stay flexible. See what happens. And there's wisdom in not rushing into things blindly. But there's also a cost that no one talks about. The cost of never closing a door. Because an open door isn't just an opportunity, it's a demand. It demands that you keep evaluating, keep comparing, keep wondering if the other path was better. The samurai understood that the freedom to choose is only valuable until the choice is made. After that, it becomes a burden. Chapter 13. The end of the inner argument. Takeda's final battle was unremarkable. A border dispute, a small clash, nothing that would make it into the histories. He was struck by an arrow in the side. It punctured something vital. He knew immediately that he was dying. He sat down against a tree, sword across his lap, and waited. One of the other samurai knelt beside him and asked if he wanted to send a message to anyone. Takeda shook his head. "There's nothing unsaid," he said, and then he closed his eyes. He didn't fight the dying. He didn't rage against it or wish for more time. He had decided years before that when death came, he would meet it the same way he met everything else, without argument. The samurai are gone. The culture that produced them is gone, but the question they answered is still here. How do you build a mind that doesn't break? Not by resisting everything that comes at you, but by eliminating the one thing that weakens you more than any external force, the war inside your own head, the endless reopening of decisions, the negotiation with yourself about whether you're sure, whether you're ready, whether this is the right path. The samurai didn't avoid hard things. They walked into them, but they walked into them with a quiet mind, because the decision had already been made. Chapter 15. The Silence After. There's a kind of peace that only comes after finality. It's not the peace of having no challenges. It's the peace of having no inner conflict. The samurai understood this. They didn't seek easy lives. They sought clear ones, and clarity came from deciding once, completely, and then never looking back. Not because they were certain they'd made the right choice, but because they understood that certainty isn't required. Finality is. Takeda is buried in a grave no one visits. His name appears in no histories. But the way he lived tells us something about what the mind needs to stay whole. Not motivation, not encouragement, just the end of indecision, the quiet that comes when the question finally closes, and the freedom to move through life without constantly asking permission from yourself. If this way of thinking resonates with you, consider subscribing, not because you should, but because some ideas take time to settle, and it might be worth hearing more of them. Otherwise, thank you for watching.